"Why does he get the car?" I asked. Dead quiet at the table. Then Mom said it like it was nothing because he needs it more. You ever spend your whole life being the background character in your own damn family? That's me. Hi, I'm Nate, 22. Grew up in a suburban Texas town where everyone knew everyone's business, and your last name basically decided how people treated you. Except in my house, the last name didn't mean shit unless it was followed by Aiden. My younger half-brother, Aiden 20, is the golden boy. Star of everything. The kind of guy who gets applauded for showing up late as long as he flashes that aw shucks smile. You know the type. Me, I was the one who changed Grandpa's oil-fixed mom's leaky sink and installed her damn Ring camera and got a cool thanks in return. Flashback 6 years ago, I remember winning second place in a statewide robotics competition my junior year. Spent months building this solar-powered crop irrigation prototype. I was so hyped, thought maybe just maybe this time they'd see me. Came home, held up the medal like some cheesy movie scene. Mom blinked. "That's nice, honey. Can you help Aiden with his econ homework? He's swamped." Aiden got a C+ on that project. They still took him to freaking Chili's to celebrate how hard he worked. That's the dynamic. Always has been. Dad, well, technically stepdad, but I stopped correcting people after I turned 12, is a plastic surgeon. Busy, successful, cold as hell. Mom's a life coach, one of those TikTok-type motivational messiah people, always giving out advice she definitely doesn't follow. They met in Scottsdale at a wellness conference and decided to move back to Texas after Aiden was born. Meanwhile, I left behind by my real dad, got dragged along as the emotional tax write-off. He needs it more. What really broke me last week? It's been about a year since I rebuilt a '67 Mustang Fastback. Thing was a literal rust bucket when Grandpa Joe gave it to me on my 18th birthday. Said it had good bones like you, kid. He'd been saving it for me since I was 12. That car saved me in a lot of ways. Every paycheck, every night in that freezing garage, every scraped knuckle and busted joint, it gave me something that was mine. Not borrowed, not handed down, not shared with Aiden. Just mine. So when Aiden got accepted to UT Austin barely by the skin of his daddy's alumni status, Mom threw a party with charcuterie and custom balloons and a goddamn Snapchat filter. During the toast, she said, "We want to make sure Aiden starts strong, so we've decided he'll be taking the Mustang to campus." I laughed out loud. Thought she was joking. She wasn't. "You're being selfish." I said no. Dad put down his wine like I just insulted the Pope. "You don't need that car. It's a symbol. What matters is your brother's future." Mom chimed in with her usual passive-aggressive tone, "Don't get so attached to material things, sweetheart." "Oh, you mean like Aiden's $3,000 gaming rig, his monthly allowance, or the Gucci belt you said he's earned for graduating high school?" Screw that. They said I was being dramatic, that I was tearing the family apart over a vehicle. I told them if they touched that title, I'd press charges. That Mustang was in my name, fully, legally, 100%. Then I left. I packed a bag, stayed at my buddy Jordan's place. He gets it, his dad dipped when he was a kid too. We cracked beers and talked shit about how families always say we love you equally when what they mean is you're the plan B if Golden Boy flakes. Then came this morning. I got back home after a 2-week trip to see Grandpa Joe in Oklahoma. His Parkinson's was getting worse, and I'd been helping him move into a better facility. Walked into the garage. The Mustang gone. I stood there staring at the empty space like my brain had blue screened. Checked the driveway, the curb, the alley. Nothing. Stormed inside. Mom was in the kitchen sipping coffee like nothing happened. I asked her straight up, "Where's my car?" She didn't even flinch. Just kept stirring her oat milk creamer. "Aiden took it to Austin. You were gone and he needed it." Like it was a library book. We transferred the title. I went full blackout rage, demanded answers. That's when Dad walked in all smug and dropped the bomb. "It's already done. Title's in Aiden's name now. He needed reliable transport. You should understand. You forged my signature." "Don't be dramatic, Nathan. We're your parents. It was a necessary choice." I called the police on the spot. Dad tried to grab my phone. I swear if Jordan hadn't pulled up 10 minutes later, I don't know what I would have done. Now I'm on Jordan's couch. The car's gone. The title's illegally transferred. My fingerprints are still on every bolt of that engine. You think I'm letting this go? Not a damn chance. Next part coming. The first thing I did when I got to Jordan's apartment was go straight to the balcony and just sit there in complete silence. Not even looking at my phone. Not texting anyone. Just nothing. My brain was fried. Like someone had yanked the main power cord out of me. I didn't even realize I was shaking until Jordan tossed a hoodie over my shoulders. "Bro," he said, sitting beside me. "You look like you just watched your dog get hit by a bus." "I think I just watched my entire childhood catch fire," I muttered. And I wasn't even exaggerating. They'd actually done it. Forged my damn signature. Stole the one thing that meant anything to me. And they thought I'd just roll over like I had every other time. Not this time. I wasn't that kid anymore. And they were about to learn what it felt like to push the wrong son one too many times. That night, I didn't sleep. I just sat on Jordan's floor surrounded by paperwork, receipts, folders, and USB drives. I'm glad I'm a borderline control freak when it comes to my stuff because I had everything. Every damn photo of the restoration. Every parts receipt. The text from Grandpa when he gave me the car. "She's all yours now, kid." Time-stamped, screenshotted, backed up. Even had a grainy old video of me turning over the engine for the first time. You can literally hear Jordan in the background yelling, "She lives like it's Frankenstein's monster." I laughed for a second watching it. Then I felt that heat again, anger, shame, betrayal boiling right back up. I called Tom the next morning. He's Jordan's dad. Also happens to be a lawyer. Family law mostly, but he knows people. When I told him what happened, he just went quiet. Then said, "Well, damn. Okay, let's burn him legally." First stop, the DMV. I took a 2-hour number ticket, sat between a toddler eating crayons and a guy asleep on a duffel bag, and waited. When they finally called me up, I showed them my ID registration history title copy, then asked to see the new title. Sure enough, the name had been switched to Aiden's. The transfer happened the exact week I was in Oklahoma. Date stamped while I was literally 300 miles away at a Walgreens ATM in Tulsa buying Grandpa toothpaste and beef jerky. And that's when it clicked. I could prove I wasn't even in the damn state when they claimed I signed those papers. I requested a copy of the title transfer form. And guess what? The signature on that form, not even close to mine. Like, not even a good fake. It looked like someone had signed Nate with a crayon while riding a unicycle. Next, my bank. I went in, asked for security footage from the ATM I used that week in Tulsa. Told them I needed it for a fraud report. Took some paperwork, but the manager was chill. Said they could email me the stills. Couple days later, boom. There I was in a hoodie withdrawing $60 in the middle of a snowstorm, time-stamped and GPS tagged. Meanwhile, back home, my parents were pretending I strolled into the DMV with a pen and a smile to hand over my car to my entitled little brother. Right. I compiled everything into a Dropbox folder labeled Operation Mustang Justice. Even uploaded a picture of my busted hands from when I rebuilt the damn carburetor in February. Had the grease under my nails and band-aids on 4 fingers. Put a sarcastic caption under it. So glad I did this for Aiden's future. Then the text started. First, it was Mom. "Honey, we need to talk about this. Please come home. Don't do anything rash." Then Dad. "What you're doing is making this worse for everyone. Be reasonable." Then Aiden. "Dude, you're seriously freaking out over a car, chill. I didn't even want to drive it that much." I didn't reply, because every word they sent just proved how much they didn't get it. It was never just about the car. It was about being invisible for 22 years. So yeah, I filed a police report. Tom helped me word it right: grand theft auto, forgery, fraud, identity theft. Told me the cops might try to wave it off as family business, but I wasn't about to let this slide like a damn sitcom misunderstanding. Couple days after filing, I got a call from a detective. Guy sounded tired but curious. "I read your report. Gotta say this one's different. Got your documents?" "Yeah," I said. "Want 'em in color or black and white?" Sent over everything: title history, ATM footage, receipts, texts, signature, comparison, photo, timeline of the rebuild. Even threw in a little video montage I made once for fun, background music and everything. He called back a few days later. "You did half my job for me," he said. "We're moving forward with this." That was the moment I realized this wasn't just revenge anymore. It was accountability. 2 weeks later, the Mustang turned up. But not at campus. Not even in Austin. No Aiden genius that he is had gotten paranoid and stashed the car in a storage unit registered under some fake-ass name like Daniels Enterprises. Except he paid for the unit using my dad's credit card. And the VIN plates, yeah, they'd been removed. Which, in case you didn't know, is a felony all by itself. So now, it wasn't just theft. It was intent to defraud, tampering with government property, and concealment of a stolen vehicle. When the cops showed up at Aiden's dorm, he wasn't even there. They had to call him to come back. He apparently cried in the hallway when they cuffed him, told them it was a misunderstanding. Dad got arrested at his office. Mom got picked up at a yoga retreat. My phone blew up that night. Cousins, family, friends, even my old math teacher texted. UTF is going on. Is it true about your folks, dude? Was that your car on the news? Apparently, the local station ran a segment family arrested in classic car theft scheme. Showed a blurry shot of my Mustang being pulled from the storage unit with crime tape around it like it was a murder scene. Mom left me 4 voicemails that night. First one sobbing, second one angry, third one think about your brother's future, fourth one you're ruining this family. I didn't respond because I didn't ruin shit. They did that all on their own. At this point, I'd moved into a tiny apartment above a garage shop where I picked up a part-time job restoring old Chevys. The owner's a retired vet named Hank. He lets me use the lift after hours to work on my own stuff. When I told him the story, he just nodded, handed me a wrench and said, "Good. Don't let people walk on you just 'cause they raised you." Last week, I drove to the impound lot to pick up my Mustang. They'd buffed the scratches and polished the chrome. Mechanically, she was fine, just a little dusty. When I turned the key and heard her rumble back to life, I felt something loosen in my chest. Like a screw that had been jammed tight for years finally unspooled. As I pulled out of the lot, I caught a glimpse of myself in the rear view. Didn't even look like the same person who walked out of that house 2 months ago. The courthouse smelled like old carpet and cold coffee. That weird blend of recycled air and tension. I sat outside the courtroom on a wooden bench that had definitely seen some shit staring at the tiled floor while my right leg bounced like it had its own nervous system. Tom was next to me calm as hell, flipping through a file with tabs labeled forgery, felony, auto theft, and emotional damages. Meanwhile, Mom was across the hallway pretending to read a magazine. Dad wouldn't even look in my direction. And Aiden, he wasn't there yet. Late, as usual. Tom leaned over and whispered, "You don't have to talk. Let the facts work for you." I nodded, but my throat was tight. Because the facts, they were brutal. A week before that hearing, the DA's office offered us a plea deal. Basically drop the charges, agree not to pursue restitution, and they'd transfer the title back to me immediately and make Aiden do some court-ordered community service and therapy. Oh, and the kicker, I'd have to sign an NDA, meaning I'd have to shut up about all of it. I laughed, out loud, in front of the assistant DA. Tom just smiled and said, "That'll be a no from us." When Aiden finally walked in, oversized suit tie, all crooked, he looked like a kid playing dress-up in his dad's closet. Couldn't even meet my eyes. I didn't feel pity. Not anymore. You want to talk about selfish? Try forging your brother's name. Stealing his car, lying to the police, hiding the damn thing in a storage unit like some Fast and Furious reject, and then crying victim when it backfires. Nah, sit in it. Court was mostly procedural that day. Motions, formal charges, scheduling. But when the clerk read the list of charges out loud, that felt real. The state of Texas versus Aiden Blake Marshall charged with grand theft, auto criminal forgery, falsification of legal documents, tampering with a motor vehicle identification number, and conspiracy to commit fraud. Dad clenched his jaw. Mom let out a shaky breath like she couldn't believe this was happening. And me, I felt nothing. Or maybe I felt everything, but it was all tangled up into this tight electric knot in my gut. Later that day, I found out they'd sold the house. Yeah, the family house, the one I grew up in. The one where they forgot my 16th birthday but threw Aiden a half-birthday party when he broke his wrist that one summer. Gone. To pay their legal fees. Apparently, they tried to declare bankruptcy to dodge the civil suit I filed for damages. Didn't work. Judge denied it. Said their actions were willful, malicious, and fraudulent. Damn right. 2 days later, I got an envelope in the mail. No return address. Just my name, handwritten, familiar handwriting. I opened it with that weird mix of curiosity and dread you get when your past tries to make eye contact. It was from Grandpa. Tom had sent it. Apparently, Grandpa wrote it the week after he gave me the Mustang. Held onto it for years. Told Tom to deliver it if things ever went real sideways. And yeah, we were so far sideways we'd circled the damn compass. The letter was short, but it hit me like a train. Nate, I saw how they treated you. I saw what they tried to hide, but you didn't break. You learned, you built, you kept showing up. That car wasn't just a car. It was my way of telling you you matter, even when they act like you don't. Keep your hands busy, keep your heart soft, and don't ever let them tell you who you are. I'm proud of you, kid, Joe. Yeah, I cried. Didn't even try to fight it. Just sat on the floor of my apartment with grease under my nails and tears in my eyes. Aiden tried to call me that weekend. I let it go to voicemail. His message was some half-assed mix of excuses and begging. Said he didn't know the title transfer was illegal, that Mom told him it was already arranged, that he thought I'd be okay with it if he just borrowed it for a bit. Nah, man. You don't rip the heart out of someone's chest and then call it borrowing. The court stuff dragged on for a while like it always does. Aiden ended up with a felony conviction. 8 months in county. 3 years probation. 500 hours community service. Expelled from UT immediately. Mom and Dad didn't fare much better. Both got hit with fraud, conspiracy, and forgery. Pleaded out to avoid jail time, but still got slapped with 18 months probation and massive fines. Judge didn't let them serve any time on weekends either. They'd asked. Begged, actually. Didn't matter. Actions have consequences. Imagine that. I heard from a cousin that they moved into some one-bedroom rental on the edge of town. Mom's coaching business tanked after clients found out she forged her son's name and committed car theft. Guess that kind of thing doesn't scream emotional integrity. Dad lost his job too. Apparently, hospitals don't love hiring surgeons with felony fraud charges tied to their name. Wild. Meanwhile, I was rebuilding. My life, my routine, my sense of self-worth. It wasn't flashy. Just real. I'd wake up, make coffee, head to Hank's shop, spend the day fixing up old trucks with busted axles and rusty frames. It felt good. Tangible. Like each bolt I tightened was one more piece of myself getting stitched back together. I started school again too. Enrolled in a local college with a killer auto tech program. Even got a partial scholarship based on my work with vintage restorations. Guess all those YouTube nights and burned knuckles paid off. A few months after everything went down, I drove the Mustang up to see Grandpa's grave. It was spring, clear skies, engine humming like a damn hymn. I parked by the cemetery fence, walked up to his headstone, and sat there for a while. Didn't say much. Didn't need to. Just rested my hand on the stone and whispered I kept it. I didn't give in. I left the letter he wrote me tucked into a Ziploc under a rock nearby. Maybe it'll find its way to someone else who needs it. Or maybe it'll just stay there, proof that someone cared enough to say it out loud. Later that week, I stopped by the storage unit where the Mustang had been hidden. It was empty now. Just a dusty concrete box with oil stains and a faint smell of mildew. But for some reason, I walked inside. Closed the roll-up door behind me. Let the darkness wrap around me like a blanket. And I just stood there. Not sad, not angry, just still. That was the last time I thought about what they did with actual rage. Not because I forgave them, but because I outlived it. It's funny how people start crawling out of the woodwork once the drama dies down. Aunt Cara, Mom's older sister, the one who once told me I was too sensitive for a boy, called me last month out of nowhere. I didn't answer, obviously, but she left a voicemail saying something like, "We all make mistakes, Nathan. Family is family. Don't you think it's time to move on?" Nope. See, I didn't torch the bridge. They did. I just watched it burn and refused to help rebuild it. And if I needed any reminder of why I cut them all off, I got it 2 days after that voicemail. Mom sent a letter. A real one. Handwritten. Like we're in the 1800s and email doesn't exist. It started with a half-assed apology classic, "We thought we were doing what was best for everyone" BS, and then went full manipulation mode. "We're struggling, Nathan. Your father hasn't been able to find stable work. I've had to take on clients I don't align with spiritually, and Aiden's been so lost without your support." Yeah, I bet. Then the kicker. "Would you consider helping us with a small loan to cover some legal costs?" I straight up laughed. I actually laughed reading it, alone, in my kitchen, over my cereal. Because what the hell? You steal my car, forge my name, get caught, and then come crawling back asking me to float you cash. Screw that. I didn't respond. Just threw the letter in the trash, made another cup of coffee, and went back to watching reruns of Top Gear while rebuilding a carburetor on the kitchen table. And that's pretty much where I was at minding my business, rebuilding life from the ground up when I got a call from a number I didn't recognize. Was about to ignore it when something told me to pick up. Turned out to be Dr. Chen, Grandpa's old friend from the VA hospital. She said she was going through some of his things, stuff from storage they'd finally cleared out, and found a locked metal box with my name taped on the lid. Asked if I wanted to come get it or have it shipped. I told her I'd drive down. 2 days later, I'm back in Oklahoma, standing in this dim little room at the VA center holding a beat-up green lockbox with rust on the hinges. Dr. Chen just smiled and said, "He always said you were the one who'd appreciate the old stuff." Back at my motel, I used a flathead to pop the lock. Inside, letters, tools. A couple photos of Grandpa back in the day, one with him in uniform standing next to a Mustang that looks suspiciously like mine. Then at the bottom, a folder labeled Nathan's Future. Inside were copies of certificates, some training stuff, ASE prep materials, a list of classic car shows, a few scholarships he'd circled in red pen, and a note scrawled in his messy, unmistakable handwriting. "If you're opening this, I'm probably gone. Don't let the pain turn you, mean kid. You've got something good inside you. Use it. Restore more than cars. Restore yourself." I swear that man could gut me with 9 words and a smudge of grease. When I got back to Texas, something shifted. Like, I'd finally exhaled after holding my breath for 10 years. I started showing up more at the shop, at school, even in my own life. Not just surviving, but being present. I made friends in class. Real ones. Not pity friends, not we share trauma friends. People who didn't know Aiden existed. Didn't know my parents tried to gaslight me into giving up the one thing I'd built with my own hands. People who just liked me. We started working on projects together. Some guy had a busted 74 El Camino. Another girl had a motorcycle frame and zero clue how to wire an ignition coil. We spent nights in the garage with cheap tacos, loud music, and open toolboxes. It was chaos, but the good kind. And in the middle of all that rebuilding, Aiden called again. Blocked number, left a voicemail. Sounded different. Not whiny, not entitled. Just tired. "Nate, I don't know if you'll hear this. Or care. I guess I just want to say I'm sorry. Not like, sorry it happened sorry. Like, really sorry. I was jealous of you. You had Grandpa, you had drive. I never had that. I was scared I'd never do anything real, so I took yours. You don't have to forgive me, but I wanted to say it anyway." I listened to it 3 times. Didn't delete it, but didn't respond either. Because even if he meant it, and maybe he did, it doesn't erase the years of getting shoved aside, laughed at, dismissed, ignored. It doesn't unsteal the car. Sometime around late October, I drove the Mustang out to the coast. Nothing fancy. Just a stretch of road that hugged the water like a lazy ribbon, sun bouncing off the hood like something out of a dream. I pulled over at this cliffside turnout, killed the engine, and let the silence settle. Watched the ocean for a while. Let myself feel everything I hadn't had time to feel before. The grief. The rage. The bone-deep exhaustion from carrying disappointment since I was a kid. And then I remembered something Grandpa said once while we were replacing a fuel line in his garage. Rust spreads faster when you ignore it. He wasn't talking about cars. He was talking about what happens when you let other people define your worth. So I started journaling. Yeah, I know, kinda lame, but whatever. It helped, got the noise out of my head. And slowly I started getting better, not healed. I don't think you ever fully heal from that kind of betrayal. But stable, capable, clear-headed enough to dream about things again. Like maybe starting my own shop someday. One that teaches high school kids how to work with their hands. A kind of mentorship program Grandpa would have been proud of. Maybe I'd call it Good Bones. Meanwhile, my parents tried again. Of course they did. After the civil case settled and they got stuck paying out damages, they sent a message through Tom asking if we could rebuild our relationship. Said they'd made mistakes. That they missed me. That families shouldn't be thrown away over a car. And Tom, bless him, just forwarded their letter with a sticky note on it. "Your move, kid." I stared at that note for a long time, then shredded the letter. Because no, it wasn't about the car. It was about a lifetime of being invisible until they needed something from me. And I'm not the invisible one anymore. That night, I rolled the Mustang back into the garage, wiped her down, and stood there just looking at her for a while. Still had the same black leather seats, same bullet green paint, same rumble when she started up. But somehow she felt different. Not because she changed, but because I did. It had been almost a year since everything went down. I was living in Grandpa's house now. The place felt different without him, quieter obviously, but not sad. More like settled. Like the walls had finally exhaled after years of holding in size. His old tools were still there. I kept them in the exact same drawers. Didn't label them, didn't need to. My hands knew where everything was. Felt like muscle memory mixed with love. I'd fixed the front porch swing, redid the kitchen backsplash, patched up the roof after one hell of a thunderstorm. It felt good. Like I was building something again, not just for me, but for him too. And then, out of nowhere, I got a call from a guy named Ray. Said he used to restore cars with Grandpa in the 90s. Hadn't spoken to him in years, but heard from someone at the VA that I'd inherited the Mustang and the shop tools. Said he had something Grandpa meant to give me a while back, but never got the chance. Asked if I'd be willing to drive out to Tulsa to pick it up. I hesitated. Part of me was like, is this some scam? But something in his voice sounded legit. Soft. Old school. The kind of guy who still called strangers kid and meant it kindly. So I went. Ray's place was a dusty little garage behind a 2-bedroom house with peeling paint and lawn chairs out front. Classic Oklahoma vibe. When I pulled in, he was waiting with a thermos of coffee and a grin that creased every line in his face. "You look like Joe," he said, "but you got your mama's stubborn jaw." I almost corrected him Grandpa wasn't blood. But then I realized it didn't matter. That man raised me in the ways that counted. Ray brought me inside and handed me this black metal case, smaller than a toolbox. Inside were a few notebooks, old grease-stained, full of scribbles and wiring diagrams. But under that a flash drive, just labeled N8. "You're the only one he trusted with this," Ray said. "Said if things ever went real south, you'd know what to do." I didn't know what the hell that meant until I plugged it in that night. The flash drive had 3 things. A folder full of Mustang rebuild files, photos, receipts, part numbers. A scanned letter from Grandpa to a lawyer I didn't recognize. A video. The video was grainy, clearly filmed on an old phone propped up on a stack of carburetors. Grandpa sat in his garage wearing the same blue overalls he always did, rubbing grease off his hands with a shop rag. "Nate," he said, "if you're watching this, your folks pulled some dumb shit." He looked tired but sharp. "I know your dad. He's my son, but he don't get it. Never did. The kind of man who thinks money's more important than character. And your mom, she's always been good at pretending." He paused, took a breath. "I want you to know everything in that garage, it's yours. Every damn socket wrench and sandblaster. And if they ever try to come for it, I set up a trust. You'll find the lawyer's info in the files. He's old but sharp." He gave the camera a small smile. "You're better than all of them, Nate. Not because of what you build, but because of how you build. Stay steady, kid. Love you." Then it cut out. I just sat there for a while, holding my head in my hands. Grief's weird like that. Hits you sideways even after a year. Like you think you're fine. And then boom, someone says kid in just the right tone, and suddenly your chest caves in. But it wasn't just sadness. It was pride. Like I wasn't carrying Grandpa's legacy, I was it. I called the lawyer the next morning. Sure enough, Grandpa had set everything up through a small trust. The garage, the tools, the house, it was mine, protected from legal challenges. And apparently he'd even left a clause saying if my parents or Aiden ever tried to contest anything, the entire remainder of the estate would go to a veterans foundation. Petty maybe, but damn if it wasn't poetic. And wouldn't you know it, Aiden showed up. Like physically. Just rolled up in a busted Ford Fusion parked right in front of the house like it was no big deal. I was in the yard working on a lawnmower when he got out. Skinny, paler than I remembered, eyes heavy like he hadn't slept in weeks. "Hey," he said. "Bold move," I muttered, not even looking up. "I came to return something." That made me pause. He popped the trunk and pulled out a box. Inside were old photos, stuff from Grandpa's house. Pictures I hadn't even realized were missing me and him working on the Mustang, some holiday shots, even an old camcorder tape labeled Nate's first engine start. "I found these in Mom's closet," he said. "Figured you'd want them." I didn't say anything, because I didn't know how I felt. He didn't ask to come inside. Didn't try to make small talk. Just handed me the box and stood there chewing his lip. "I'm not expecting forgiveness," he said. I'm sorry, man." And for the first time, I believed him. Didn't mean I'd let him back in, but I didn't slam the door either. I just nodded. He got back in his car and drove off. No drama, no tears, just closure. That night I watched the camcorder tape. Me, age 19, turning the key on the Mustang for the first time. The engine coughs, then roars to life. I laugh like a maniac. Grandpa yells, "She's alive." It was grainy and perfect and made my chest ache in all the right ways. I uploaded it to YouTube later, just labeled it First Start, 1967 Mustang build. Didn't expect much. But a few weeks later, the video blew up. Tons of comments, people asking questions, sharing their own stories. One guy said, "This made me call my dad for the first time in 6 years." It hit me. Maybe this wasn't just my story. Maybe there were hundreds, thousands of kids like me out there. Invisible, overlooked, underestimated. Kids who just needed one win. One thing that's mine. And maybe I could help them find it. So I started filming more. Not just car stuff, life stuff. Fixing a leaky faucet. Replacing brake pads. Budgeting for your first restoration project. Real talk, no filters. People started watching, subscribing, commenting like we were old friends. And slowly, my channel became more than just an outlet. It became a community, a place for all the other Nates out there. And that felt better than any revenge. Because while my parents were scraping by in a rented duplex with court-ordered therapy, I was out here building something real.